Welcome back, everybody. This month, experts are urging people to reignite conversations about their mental health. May is recognized as Mental Health Awareness Month, reminding us that it's just as important as our physical well-being.
You know, a report from a counseling group, ThriveWorks, showed 48% of Americans plan to seek therapy in the next year. So definitely a timely turn as we see that increase. So joining us today to talk through the impacts that therapy can have is Catherine Atkinson-Greenhaw. She's a licensed professional counselor with ThriveWorks in Pflugerville. So Catherine, welcome back and thank you so much for being here.
Of course, thank you for having me again. It's always great to be here and to spread awareness.
We really appreciate it. You know, the insight from that report that we just mentioned shows kind of that increasing interest in seeking out therapy. And so for folks who it may be their first time approaching that decision, should people head into therapy with a clear idea of maybe what they want to get out of it, what they want to see, or do you encourage folks to be more open-minded about where that journey takes them?
I think everybody's individual experience is different when it comes to starting therapy, and I've got a lot, I see kids and adults, and so I have a lot of kids that come in questioning like, why am I even here? Is it bad to be here? I don't really know what I'm supposed to talk about. And like the same with adults, not really having a clear idea sometimes. And sometimes they do, and that's always great as well. But I think just being open-minded and coming into it with not having a perfect idea, but just being open to the experience and with whatever that looks like is what you should do.
I would imagine that stress would be something that motivates people to seek out therapy, maybe ways to cope with that or deal with it. In fact, how often do you hear that stress is an indicator that they are wanting to seek your help, and what are some of the sources of that stress for them?
Stress is probably one of the highest. I've got stress and depression, which I feel like are just kind of, they are common one and the same a lot of times. But with anxiety, the highest thing, the main things that we see are like finances. I have a lot of people that with struggling with like just different relationships, and I see, like I mentioned with kids, it's like relationships with peers, relationships with family members, adults, relationships with family members and peers, and then also politics is a big one that we see a lot of right now too.
Yeah, it's obviously dominating a lot of headlines that we even share out there for people, so maybe that's understandable. What are some of the ways that you advise people to handle stress? I would imagine that it's can run the gamut because of there's so many different topics that could influence that. So how do you advise people that they can handle that?
I think one of the biggest things that is probably applicable to all of the things is setting boundaries, because even with like work stress, like setting boundaries with work in your time, knowing that your time is important, but not making sure you've got the work-life balance. And even with relationships, setting boundaries with relationships, learning when to say no and when to protect your peace and stuff like that. And same with politics. Sometimes we need to set boundaries with our time on social media and limiting stuff that we know is going to bring us anxiety.
So many good reminders this month as we highlight awareness and your mental health. We know that some people sitting at home may be really interested in starting some kind of therapy journey or learning some of these ways to deal with stress, but there's always some barriers to accessing that. It could be cost or coverage, availability. So how do you advise someone who's navigating some challenges in starting a journey towards dealing with stress and their mental health?
I think when you're looking for a therapist, one of the first things I always recommend is like check your resources, like check your friends, check your primary care, because often referrals can help you figure out what is best in your and what you're able to do and what you're able to find. I'm biased for ThriveWorks because I work there, and like we do have so many different, we cover a wide range of insurances, which is amazing for people. But obviously there's a lot of local places, universities specifically, and different nonprofits that offer low cost for people, and that can also be much more affordable, and also virtual sessions. I think virtual sessions kind of make it more accessible for people.
Perhaps the overarching thing is that there is help available for people.
Yes, there is help everywhere available, and so it's just looking for it, and and it's just asking for help, and sometimes you need to do that. I think the best is, like I said, first is finding people who are also looking for therapy, and then also your primary care doctor, other healthcare professionals typically can help guide you as well.
And I think encouraging people to take that step. It might feel scary to even ask the question to your employer or your insurance company, but just asking the question, seeing what's out there. So such good reminders. Catherine Greenhaw, thank you so much for joining us again as we highlight, focusing on people's mental health this month. We truly appreciate your insights.
Of course. Thank you both for having me again.
And we'll be right back after the break.